and forgive me, the classic tyranny of the clock. No, can I, let me, look, and I apologize also to our panel here. As you can see, sometimes the childishness of our politics actually keeps us from actually talking about the actual legislation that you flew all this distance to come talk about. So let's actually have an interesting discussion. Dr. Melicon, just for curious, did you say Baton Rouge?
Yes, Baton Rouge.
I think I have family that's gone to your community college.
Wonderful.
I know.
Yes.
I'm from Arizona, but part of my family's from. I have an unusual fixation, particularly on the good gentleman's piece of legislation here, and that is the concept of jobs are changing, and they're changing so fast. Maybe other than trucking, but even trucking has its own unique, and it's one of the things that concerns me about well, these are green jobs, but the fact of the matter is, the green job of 8 years ago is different than the one today, and with some of the, if you actually read the literature, the next version of photovoltaic panels are dramatically require different skill sets. If I have anyone who feels competent, is the government structure the most elegant way to teach people the constantly revolving skill set that's required to work with today's tools? For my neighbor sitting next to me, the way I would have repaired a car a decade ago is dramatically different than my wife's Tesla. And it's often one of my fears. What we do in legislation is we lock in last generations of it's one of the problems many of us have with the Inflation Reduction Act and the CHIPS Act is we're building last generation's technology in a world where the market is for the next generation. And it's the arrogance of those of us in Congress. We think we know things, but we're always a decade behind. And I'm going to start with Mr. Redmond. Okay, so it's a trucking, it's commercial driver's license. But what does the world look like a decade from now? Is it autonomous vehicles? Is it different types of technology? And then move on to others that, if we were to future-proof a piece of legislation like this, what do we need to fixate on?
Right. I mean, thank you, Congressman. Yeah, technology is changing, exactly what you just said. We are experiencing, I get that question quite often about autonomy, autonomous trucks. We're light years away from anything that would be considered full autonomy, because right now everyone says you still have to have a truck driver in the truck. That's just the way it goes. But what that truck can do and what you have to teach does change. So you have to make sure that folks are, our trucking schools are up with the times. But with kind of to your point, there's going to be other, technicians or other folks, skills that we don't even know about 10 years from now are going to need to be taught, either by us or by the gentleman at his community college. So I think it's important that we keep that in mind as we go toward the future of all of our industries, that we just need to be flexible.
Doctor.
Yeah, I mean, what you're explaining is the Hayekian knowledge problem. The government doesn't have the on-the-ground knowledge for every individual person for their own needs. And this is why I pointed out that school choice is one of the best solutions, putting the power into the hands of the parents, let them choose for their own kids because they know their kids better than anybody else. So the Educational Choice for Children Act is one way to return that power to the people who are most affected by those decisions, who have the best incentives to make their decisions right for their own kids' education, and to have the most on-the-ground knowledge when it comes to their kids' educational needs. So the school choice is a good solution to this Hayekian knowledge problem.
Thank you, Doctor. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to yield back instead of consuming more time, but look, if the common goal here is a workforce that prospers in society, I think we're going to have to deal with the reality of the jobs we know today, a couple of years from now, are going to look radically different. And it's a problem of institutional structures, but even the intellect we have up here. We keep making public policy that's static in a dynamic world. And that's actually one of the things I like about the gentleman's legislation, is it's not prescriptive in the way, it actually future-proofs. So with that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr.